started to wonder, and I wondered, which led me to wonder. I had to wonder. I started to wonder. I couldn't help but 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 wonder. Couldn't help but wonder. I couldn't help but wonder. I couldn't help but wonder.
What the fuck is up, gamers? Welcome back to City Girls Make Do. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm the bitch with a period.
And I'm Stephanie, and I'm in heat, so same hat.
So, we are back. We missed a week because I had a breakup, which means that I will be overly bitter throughout the episode, so strap in.
Extremely valid.
We're on season 6, episode 17, The Cold War.
Oh, the Cold War. Can you explain it to me? I don't understand what's the reference here. Like, what are they going for here? It's like it's too deep for me.
I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that Carrie is American and her boyfriend's Russian. I don't know. I feel like that might be too lofty for the writers of this show.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I had the script open for this episode, and there are 11 hits in it for the word cold, including the title once. But they use the word cold and a whole bunch of other synonyms for cold, too, on top of the, 10 times in the episode where they say cold. A lot.
Yeah. I remember I was in the car with my mum the other day, and I was saying that, I think Gen Z are jaded because, we watched 9/11 happen on TV when we were, 5, and there's been 2 recessions before the time we're 30. And she was like, well, I grew up in the Cold War. Which
that's pretty bleak.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so both of us are just mildly traumatized. Great.
Yeah. I mean, I was 10. I was 10 when 9/11 happened, and I remember watching it on TV, and I'm like, I really don't understand the severity of this at this age. I wonder what this is going to do to me.
I'm like, I feel
up.
like I've seen the imagery of it countless times to the point that I now feel next to nothing when I see the imagery, even though the abject horror of it and people who are older than me, my parents' age, will break down in tears when they see it, and I'm just like, when you see it before you've even hit puberty, it does bad shit to your brain. But I guess you did bring up the point of, growing up thinking that the world was just going to end. And also living through Ronald Reagan having nuclear launch codes, which is
This is true. At least your mom wasn't living in either of the Cold War countries at the time.
She was just with good old Thatcher.
Jesus Christ.
Who we know and love and trust.
God. Yeah. At least someone tried to kill Ronald Reagan.
That was good. It's a shame. I mean, Jodie Foster, go off. Go off a bit.
If only anyone today could be as powerful as Jodie Foster to wield the power unknowingly of some other person she's never even met before to cause an event like that to happen. If only.
I wish I had the power of Jodie Foster's WAP, that even the idea that you might see it would get you to assassinate a president for me. That's
true.
The type of shit I'm manifesting.
That's some good shit. The 80s were lit. Him and John Lennon. Jesus Christ. What happened? It's I'm Reggie from Nintendo looking at my watch, tapping it. Let's go. Anyway.
Let's have more assassinations. I'm bored.
Not a threat, just a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a fact that we want more assassinations. Anyway, I guess we might as well get into the episode.
Yeah, so speaking of our Russian and American being together, they are being absolutely disgusting at a public restaurant.
They're being so gross. He's getting so handsy with her. And it's the daytime. It's like, not like, oh, we're in a little secluded booth in like a bar or a restaurant and they're making out and maybe getting a bit handsy. And it's like, okay, well, you've had a couple drinks. It's lunchtime. And his hand is on her tit.
Yeah, it's on her tit and she's very much like, oh, people are like looking at us. And he's like, no one's looking at us. And it's like, maybe don't.
Yeah. And so they're like doing all that, and then a bunch of his friends, which we find out later are not his friends, they're just colleagues, come over and they're like, oh, Alexander, funny to see you here, all the places and all the, you know, whatever, that whole thing. And Mark Margolis is one of them.
He is! It's Hector Breaking Bad.
It's Hector Breaking Bad. The knockoff Kate Blanchett, as you said.
Yeah.
And this dude who has a neck tattoo.
Yeah, some other guy who I just like didn't even look at. Did he even have any lines?
He had like a couple, and his name was Handsome Lee. Because they're like, oh, Handsome Lee says that you have a show coming up. And he has like a neck tattoo, and he kind of looks like Rufus Wainwright. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, I didn't look at him. I was just kind of hoping that, like, Mark Margolis was going to do the thing he did in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And explode. And, like, kill Carrie and Petrovsky instantly.
Yeah. That would be an interesting way for the show to end, but unfortunately, no. I guess they're just meant to be, like, art people.
Yeah, they're, like, the extremely pretentious art friends that he has, because, knockoff Kate Blanchett is just like, she learns that Carrie's a writer, and then Carrie's like, oh, novels? And Carrie's like, no, I write a column. And she's like, oh, what, for the Times? And she's like, no, for the New York Star.
And he's, I guess props to Alex, because he's like, oh no, they're very good. And he asks to borrow the newspaper of the guy at the next table, and it happens to be the New York Star. So I guess he sees that it is. And he starts reading it out. And he says something like, I'm convinced that the last time someone actually enjoyed the 69 position was in the summer of 69.
They're right. It sucks.
I don't. Why? No, it seems like too much. I want to do one job or the other. Do you know what I mean? I can't multitask in the bedroom. I mean, I guess I can.
Like, you can multitask, it's just really uncomfortable, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, you gotta, like, if you are the receiver, you have to be in, like, you have to get yourself, like, in a comfortable position, and, like, to really enjoy it. You can't be, because, like, normally, like, if you're doing 69, and one of the people has a penis, they gotta be on the bottom.
Yeah, like, or else you're gonna suffocate.
Yeah, and it's kind of just like, I cannot be on the top doing that. I'm sorry, but, like, I'm not, like, I could do it, but I'm not going to enjoy it. Yeah. So, like,
I've heard you can, like, legit suffocate. Say if someone with a penis was on top, you can, like, if their balls could get in your nostrils and you would die. Like, you can literally die. You sucking dick. Which,
getting
I mean, I guess ways to go is not that bad. Like, hey, at least you're going out having fun. But
well, hopefully you would notice early enough that you're being suffocated and you can, like, tap out or something.
There's one time I was at a bar, I mean, massive sidebar here. So one time I was at the pub and my friend, like, does, like, jujitsu, and he knew sleeper holds, so me and my mates were like, oh, put us in sleeper holds.
Oh my god.
Which is like a great thing to do when you're already a bit drunk. And he did it, and like me and my girl mate like both tapped out and were like, okay, well, you know, that was fun. But we're gonna tap out because, you know, you can feel like when you're like, okay, this is enough. And then I guess to look hard, this other guy we were with refused to tap out and then passed out. Which is very funny.
Oh my god. Like, know your limits, dude.
Yeah, exactly. We were like, okay, well, that was fun. But yeah, it's good enough for us. Don't want to actually, like, choke, like, die.
Oh my god. That's brutal.
Yeah, but he, like, passed out and fainted for a bit, and then he was fine.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's wild.
Yeah. So, Yeah, that happens, and the art friends are not very impressed, I guess, with Carrie's writing. I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best.
That wasn't
line.
a very good example, to be
No,
honest.
and she says, she's like, it's not my best. It's not my best.
Yeah, although it's kind of embarrassing. Petrovsky says her writing is very smart, and I'm like, okay, we've heard enough of it that I know this isn't true.
No, I mean, I guess they're going out and they're still in the honeymoon phase, so like you do that where. I don't know. Have you ever when you date someone who does something creatively and you're like, oh no, their work is so good. They're really funny. They're a really great writer. They're a really great artist or whatever. And then once you break up, you're like, oh no, they're shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I'm
I've never had that happen, but like I can definitely understand.
I'm sure everyone who's broken up with me is like, Alex is absolutely awful. And I don't care because they're biased.
Well, they're wrong and they're biased and bitter, so.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. They start talking about how he has an art show coming up. And
yeah, in Paris.
In Gay Paris. And they ask him about it and he sort of like shrugs it off. Carrie doesn't really know anything about it because they haven't really spoken about it.
Yeah, he doesn't really talk to her about his work, like, at all.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, like, the conflict of this episode, I guess. I fucking, like, I guess. It's kind of funny that they called this episode the Cold War, when, honestly, it would have made more sense for them to call the last episode the Cold War. Like, maybe the one where he was, like, being very unemotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they had, like, a real conflict. And then in this episode, they barely had any conflict compared to like last week. Like this one was like relatively tame. I mean, I also just kind of forget because I just zoned out everything that happened with her, but like,
yeah, like
I don't know.
They have a bit of beef like towards like Carrie's like quietly like, I don't know, a little bit upset that she's not included in stuff. And then they have a bit of a disagreement towards the end, but then it's like immediately resolved.
Yeah,
so,
it's not really that big of a deal. It's like fine, but
you mean that it should have been last episode where they literally weren't talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's
because it's like
that's what Cold War is.
Yeah, I feel like the writers of the show really have such a very surface level understanding of what happened in the Cold War. Maybe they were just like, Russia and America. We've got to name it this. And like that I don't know.
I guess maybe because it's like other people seem to be cold throughout the episode as well. It's a very weak punnage.
It really is. Yeah, they do use the cold word about like all of the plots a whole bunch of times, and it's like, what are you even talking about? Like this, it really it's a failure. But you know, you'd think by like this is I think the fourth last episode of the series. You'd think that they would by now know what they're doing, but they don't. So
no, and like. I mean, God, we are really nearing the end. We need to actually figure out what the fuck we're doing. We won't, bitch. I think it will be a last minute decision. We'll be like, should we just do this? You know?
We'll figure our shit out. We still have movies to do, so
it's fine. Movies. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But then we go to Carrie, to go to Charlotte, Anthony, and Elizabeth Taylor, the dog. I keep getting this, you know how like Google will recommend articles and stuff for you? I keep getting this one that's from Vogue, and it's about Elizabeth Taylor, the actress, not the dog's, engagement rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder if they've just been listening to our Discord calls.
Probably. I don't really care. If that's what they're listening to. It's like Alex keeps mentioning Elizabeth Taylor, so let's send her a Vogue article about Elizabeth Taylor. I'm fine with that.
That's fine. Yeah.
And they were so big. Literally like cocktail rings. We stan.
Damn, good shit.
Yes. But they're walking the dog, and Anthony's complaining because he's not getting hit on enough, and people just keep talking about like how cute the dog is.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, also the dog is way cuter than him because it's a dog, so I get it.
Yeah, and it's a tiny little baby dog. Like, it's super cute. Like, but Anthony, I guess his whole thing is just complaining about shit and being gay, you know?
This is his whole thing, yeah.
His whole thing is like, I'm gay, which is great, but like, it's kind of his whole character. And I would argue that it's Stanford's most of the time, too.
Yeah, which is kind of funny considering that I would say a good chunk of the, like, producers and writers of the cast or of the show, are gay men.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I mean, I know it's kind of like you get, like, of the era, just having gay characters on TV at all was kind of like a bigger thing than it is now. So like just having them there at all, being extremely gay is like, I guess at the time more monumental than like having an actual fleshed out gay character with like, you know, 3-dimensional personality. But it's weird because I don't know, you'd expect that they would do a better job writing that if you are a gay man in like 2004, but
yeah, I mean, it's good that they are as like flamboyant as they are and as openly gay, and I like that. But yeah, you're right. It's just like, okay, we get it. They're gay.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
And they start talking, and then Charlotte's like, I want to enter her into a dog show.
Yeah, she's like, I think she misses the competition. Look at her walking like this. Like, you can tell she just loves the attention. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure she's not thinking at all, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's her thing for this episode, is she really wants to enter Elizabeth Taylor in a dog show, and so she will.
Yeah.
And that's...
and she does.
Yeah. And then we go to Miranda, and she comes home to Steve, and she's like kind of grumpy. But she's also excited because she has her new tabloid magazine called Tattletale, and she's just like ignoring everything Steve says because she's just in a bad mood and just wants to read her magazine. And
yeah, she like comes in, and she's like, and Steve's like, well, she says her feet hurt, and Steve is like, why don't you just wear sneakers like everyone else, like when you get on the train? And she's like, you can take me out of Manhattan, but you can't take Manhattan out of me.
And it's like, okay, so it's your own fault, but whatever.
Yeah, you can just like not do that. It's so weird.
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like sitting on the train isn't going to be what kills your feet. Though, like, wearing shoes, whatever shoes you wear on the train aren't going to make a difference. I mean, walking from the train home, sure, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I guess if she has to walk a couple blocks, but like, I don't know. Again, Steve is making a pretty decent point here.
Yeah, he is.
For once in his life.
He makes a decent point. And then Miranda's just ignoring him, and then she starts reading her magazine, and then Steve is like trying to tell her about Magda and Brady, and Miranda's just like, you do not exist anymore. I have my magazine. Go away.
Yeah. And he does.
Which I love. He does go away, and I'm like, I'm happy for you. Also, just a sec, I have to plug my laptop in because I just realized I never plugged it in when I moved it over.
Oh, okay, valid.
Alright, it's plugged in.
Okay, I just got a text from the gross old guy Blew Out, and he's very mad at me.
Oh my god.
He was like, don't contact me again.
Like, okay.
Oh my
sure.
god. I swear to God, this podcast is cursed. I somehow seem to get dumped every time we do it. I love that for me.
God.
Anyway, I
Eat shit, men.
Eat shit,
anyway.
die. Whatever the fuck. So next scene is speaking of Stanford, we have Stanford.
Yeah, he's in this episode. Him and Marcus.
Mm-hmm. And he is like, well, yeah, he and Marcus are in this restaurant. It's really busy. And they see Smith. And they're like, oh, it's Smith. He's Samantha's boyfriend. Let's go over and talk to him. And so they do. And then they're like, oh, he's with a dark brunette woman.
Mm-hmm. Mysterious. And meanwhile, I'm just like, I wonder who this could be. Yeah. And it's, of course, wigged Samantha. Because this episode, she has like 5 different wigs. Like, I thought this was incredible because this came out like 10 years before the Americans premiered, and yet they still had like, the episode was called The Cold War, and Samantha wears like 5 different wigs, and I'm like, that's the show. That's the Americans.
That is the Americans.
The Cold War.
They don't have a wig budget that the Americans has, because that show's wigs are amazing. I refuse to believe that these fucking 2 Russians can like put on a wig as good as like professional wig installers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's fucking bananas. Like, and I am constantly so stressed out watching the Americans when they, like, have sex with someone, when they're doing their spy work, and then, like, I'm just like, that person's gonna pull your wig off. Like, they're gonna grab your hair and pull your wig fully off, and then it never happens, obviously, but, like, I always expect it to, and it's stressful.
Yeah, you know, like, you're getting sweaty and, like, sex in the heat of the moment. What if they, like, want to pull your hair and then you just have to be like, I'll wear a wig for fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what you say to that, especially if you have, like, a full head of hair underneath, you know?
Yeah, and you're not even bald or
You're not,
anything,
like,
which neither of them are.
No, and, like, you're clearly not wearing it for religious reasons if you're, like, fucking a random, so...
Yeah. Everyone watched The Americans that used to air on FX. Best show of all time.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Anyway. Yeah, so then Samantha turns around and they see that it's her. Also, Stanford makes a Getting Jiggy with It reference, which is like, Matt was like, please Google how outdated that reference is at this point. And it was 7 years.
I was going to say, is that not like pre-millennium?
It was 1997, so it was 7 years outdated at that point.
When did Millennium come out? Because I remember there was Millennium, there was Big Willie Style. I was a big fan of Will Smith's musical range as a young person. Kind of iconic. Can we talk about Wild Wild West?
Yeah.
It was the pre Old Town Road, right? It was the Old Town Road of its day.
Yeah.
It was like Black Cowboys. I was down for it. You see his dick in that film. Fantastic.
God.
Yeah.
But that's good shit. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. But yeah, so they're like, oh, Samantha, because they see her and it's Samantha. And Smith is a total cutie pie. He's like, oh, come sit with us. Any friend of Samantha is a friend of mine. They sit together.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, like, stoner dude comes up to them. And he's like, oh, Smith Jared, like, my girlfriend is a big fan of you. Which, I don't know if there's any, like, this stoner dude, I don't know if he's the type to take a picture of someone because his girlfriend is a big fan of them. It seems like maybe he, like, watched this Gus Van Sant film but didn't want people to think he was gay by watching a Gus Van Sant film.
That's extremely good read.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, can I take a picture? And so he takes a photo of the four of them. They look like they're in a fucking ski lodge. Like, the way they're all dressed. Because Smith's, like, wearing a toque on his bald head. And, like, everyone's got, like, scarves and shit. And it very much just looks like they just came in from, like, the slopes. And they're just, like, having a drink.
Yeah, it's the winter and, like, I don't know, I guess in New York, I don't know. Is there not heating inside? It's still quite a busy restaurant. I imagine it'd be warm.
I would imagine, although I guess maybe if your head is bald, it might just be kind of colder. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, they get their photo taken, and it's just like, okay, this probably won't come up again later. Except it does.
Well, because he takes the photo, but it's
the
just...
timeline of this makes
he takes the photo,
no
but
sense.
It's just him. And, like, it's just of Smith and the rest of them, because he says, like, oh, want to get my friends in it too. Like, he doesn't take the photo of, like, him and Smith, which you think is what would happen.
Yeah, no, you would think so, but yeah, no, it's just the four of them, and he gets a picture.
I guess maybe he's meant to be, like, a paparazzi then? I don't
I guess so, because it does end up in a tabloid.
Yeah, it's the same picture. Who fucking knows? But yeah, the timeline is all off, because, like, it's weird, because it's the tattletale that Miranda had, right? In the previous episode, in the previous scene?
Yeah, because I didn't go and check the covers to make sure they were the same, because I was like, the only way this makes sense is if Miranda got a new tattletale.
Yeah.
Because it comes up like two scenes later, and the photo's in there, and I'm like, this makes no fucking sense. Your timeline is complete garbage. Please retire. Hope someone got fired for this blunder. Terrible. But... maybe there are different covers and this magazine comes out like really frequently, like maybe bi-weekly or something.
Yeah, maybe it's like a weekly magazine, I guess. But which is possible. So I remember I used to read, like, me and my mum used to read gossip magazines back when people would read magazines, and I don't know. I think they were weekly, but even then, it feels like quite a big jump.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, as a viewer, you're automatically going to think, oh, that's this. We've established the tattletale. It's the Chekhov's gun. So
It is.
naturally, it's the same one.
Yeah, like, it's gotta be, right? But I guess maybe Miranda could have also just read the entire thing in one night, and then this is another new one.
I guess.
But this is also the first time we've ever seen Miranda
Read
be
it.
super into tabloids. Yeah, and it seems to be a thing in this episode where people are dragging her for being into tabloids, and she's just like, it's my thing, leave me alone. I'm allowed to have one garbage thing.
In season
and it's like,
6?
she is allowed.
I mean, I guess if she, like, if we established she started reading them maybe, like, after Brady was born, just because she, like, had less time to do stuff apart from sit and read magazines.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? But no,
Yeah.
we watched this whole thing. It's never really been her thing that she knows or cares about shit. Like celebrities.
Yeah, she never cares about celebrities.
No.
Like, she never knows anything. Like, whenever it's, like, trying to, like, I feel like, for example, when people were like, oh, do you know who Petrovsky is? And it was literally just, like, Charlotte. I mean, he's not, like a actor celebrity, but it's just, like, she doesn't seem to give a shit about anything.
No.
She's like, I don't know who that is. But yeah, we'll get there, I guess. We still have another... Yeah, we have another scene before that of Carrie and Petrovsky, who are... she just wants to know more stuff about him, like, especially about his work and his friends, because he just doesn't talk about any of that at all. And he's just like, what's more important to me is this. And he just, like, kisses her tummy, and I'm like,
oh, yeah. He wants to go down on her tummy. It's so weird. He, like, starts...
It's like, okay.
He, like, starts blowing raspberries and, like, licking at her belly button. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a lot. And she's just like, no, dude, I'm serious. Like, I just want to know more about you. Like, we've been together for a while. We're pretty serious right now, and I really don't know, like, a lot. And also, I don't want to look like an idiot in front of your friends, because, like, we're out, and I feel just like a fool for not knowing you have an art show, for not knowing who any of these people are, for just seeming like this dumb column writer. Like, she just doesn't feel like she fits in at all. And so I feel like it's normal to want to know about what your partner does if you're interested.
Yeah, especially if it's different to what you do. I think that's pretty normal. Like, I would say, I don't know, I feel like they've been dating for a long time. I don't know if I've necessarily dated anyone long enough to be particularly interested in what they do. Like, I've known the bare bones of it, I suppose, but not...
Yeah, I guess for me it's more like most of the people, like, the people I've dated have all been people that I was, like, friends with beforehand, so I, like, knew about their interests and their, like, jobs or whatever before starting to date them, I guess. And so, like, that's part of it. But, like, also, you know, I've, like, been with people who will start a new job. Yeah. And it's like, it's not like I care so much about, like, what do you do all day? It's more just like, I don't know, I just want to get a sense for, like, what you do, and, like, do you enjoy doing it? And, like, are there people that you're close with from it? Like, I don't know, it's just nice to know stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess because, like, artist is a very solitary job, you know? Like, you'll have like, people who own the galleries you showcase your work in, and you'll have buyers and, like, maybe a sort of a dealer and, like, that kind of stuff. But as an actual artist who's doing all the work himself, speaking first hand.
Yeah, he doesn't really, like, have colleagues.
Speaking first hand here, don't do it, people. It's not worth it. But I guess it's quite solitary, so he probably doesn't want to particularly talk about it. And, like, I think asking him, like, what does this mean? Like, what's the symbolism? What does this piece mean? It's probably going to be boring, so he doesn't really want to talk about it. Like, it's either going to be personal or it's going to be a lot. So I get him not wanting to talk about his actual work very often, because it's either going to be very practical or something that is quite emotional.
Yeah, and it's, like, art is supposed to be, like, left up to you to interpret also. Like, I don't really give a shit what the actual author says most of the time. So, but...
Yeah, the death of the author is very prevalent, but he doesn't want to, like, talk about he doesn't really want to put her or get her involved in his work life, which is the issue.
Yeah, and, like, I guess part of it is also, like, the work friends thing, where, like, she doesn't know any of the people that he knows. And the other thing that comes up this episode is he doesn't know any of the people that she knows. Like, they haven't introduced each other to their friends, really. Yeah. They don't know, like, they're very solitary as a couple. Like, they always are together alone. It's never with anybody else, really.
Yeah. Again, like, I'm also watching this as I'm like, one of the main pieces of friction was that I kept trying to say to, you know, when you're like with someone for a while and you're like, maybe we should do stuff with other people, and then it kind of blows up in your face a bit. So I was watching this like, oh god, oh fucking hell. But she is also right that, like, yeah, you can't really just exist, the two of you, forever, because that's not a relationship. It just exists in a vacuum.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense for a while, I think, when you're still getting to know each other, but it's kind of like, you have this whole group of friends, and that's a huge part of your life, and it's not like they're completely separate parts of your lives. Like, they can have overlap, and they probably should have overlap, and, so she kind of just wants to get the feel for that, and this is the point where he says, oh, those people weren't, like, friends, they were just, like, acquaintances from work, basically.
He says they were colleagues, which I think is fair enough. Because, you know, you have, like, work friends and then you have your actual friends. And he says later on that, like, his friends are mostly in Europe. So he doesn't really have, like, people to hang out with over here apart from colleagues, which he probably doesn't actually have that much in common apart from work and her. And she's like, well, you're my friend.
And he's like, you're not my friend, you're my lover. And I'm like, okay, you should be friends with the people that you're dating.
And also, like, again, I was like, flashbacks.
God, it's very, like, it's weird. I don't know. The way some people think of relationships is very weird. I can't imagine describing dating Matt and not also being like, yeah, you're also my friend too, like, on top of, like, being my partner.
Yeah, you kind of need to have the thing of, like, okay, if we couldn't have sex with each other, would we be friends? Like, would we get along otherwise? And if the answer is no, there's probably an issue there. But also, I mean, we skipped over brunch.
Oh, doesn't that happen?
Yeah, because, I mean, they have that sort of conversation a bit more later, but they're also, all their scenes are just, like, the same. I zone out on all of them.
Yeah, they're all the same. So, it's just a repeat over and over.
We have brunch, and it's Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha. And it's basically, like, Smith is in... Yeah, we talked about Smith in Tattletale, and how it says that he is a homosexual.
Yeah, because he's pictured with an older gay gentleman who's Stanford. Do they mention...
They mention Marcus because he's, like, a Broadway dancer. So they mention that he was in Broadway and everything, and then they say, an older gay gentleman. And, like, later on, Stanford is like, well, how would they even know I was gay? And he's wearing, like, a scarf and a matching, like, his bow tie is matching to, like, his fedora.
It's very good, and the three girls who are there with him just, like, turn their heads and stare at him. But Samantha was cropped out of the picture, by the way, too.
It was just so rude. I mean, maybe they thought she was a drag queen because she was wearing a wig, but they should have said that. That would be funnier if they, like, said they were like, and a drag queen for some, like, because, I mean, she just wear, like, quite ostentatious outfits, and, like, she's wearing a wig, so it's like, maybe she's some sort of performance artist or something. That would be fun. I mean, I guess we'd probably get, like, a transphobic joke out of it, so I should be counting my blessings.
Yeah, true. And, so Samantha's just cropped out, and it's like, all right, so she's just not in it. But this kind of sucks, because this is the point in the episode where they start, throwing around the F slur a whole bunch.
They say a whole bunch in this episode, don't they? It's a challenge.
They sure do.
It's a lot, and it's like, I don't know. It's really mostly like women saying it, like straight women saying it, and it'd be one thing if it was like Stanford and Anthony, if it was like gay men saying it, or at least gay people.
Yeah, like I think Anthony says it once, but it's mostly Samantha and a couple of the others. But it's weird. It's, because, like, the context is that people are, like, thinking that she's only with Smith because people think he's gay now. And so they're like, oh, yeah, she just hangs around with all these gay men.
Because at first Samantha is kind of like, she laughs it off. She's like, oh, I'm a beard and a wig. And she laughs it off as like, oh, okay, well, that means he's, like, actually getting famous now if the gay rumors are starting. But, you know, but yeah, later on, she's like, I don't want people to think, she wants people to think she's having, like, fucking good sex. And obviously you can't be doing that with someone if your sexuality is incompatible. Smith could also be bi, but also we know that doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah, of course. This is just impossible for that to be a thing at this point.
No reason. No.
Yeah, none at all.
And it's just, so yeah, it's just the three of them. And they're like, where's Carrie?
Right. Yeah, because Carrie's been kind of like AWOL lately. She just hasn't been hanging out as much, and so, but Carrie calls Charlotte on her cell, and Charlotte makes it sound like it's been forever since they've seen her. And this is, oh my god, this episode has so much feet shit. I swear to God, it was made to curse me. Because first there was Miranda with her stupid subway feet, and then now there's fucking Petrovsky is massaging Carrie's feet as she's on the phone with them, and I'm like, can you not do this?
Like, so she phones and she's like, oh, ladies, I'm so sorry, I can't come out today. It's just too cold. She says it's too cold. She's like, oh, it's too cold, and you girls are uptown, and I'm downtown at the Russian's apartment. So, like, I don't really want to put my clothes on and leave. Miranda is like, and give me the fucking phone, because I would be going ballistic if this happened. Yeah. If my friend, I had plans to see my friend, and they were like, oh, I can't come out, it's too cold. Like, bitch, you better have fucking cystic fibrosis. Like, why? You can't, that's not how that, like, you can't just be like, it's cold. Like, I'm sorry, you need to have an actual reason why you can't come out. Not, it's cold and I don't want to go outside because my boyfriend's gonna rub my feet in front of the fire. That's not a reason to not go outside.
Ugh. Disgusting. Yeah, and it's like, I'm sorry, but New York doesn't even get that cold. Like, it can get cold, but okay, it's not even snowing. And it's not like it's not like they're like, oh my god, it's like below 20 or whatever the fuck they say in Fahrenheit or whatever. But like, it's not even like particularly cold out. Like, it looks like a fall day to me. So I'm kind of like, grow up. But
I would say, I don't know.
Yeah, also just like Miranda.
It seems like there's maybe a wind. Like, it seems like we have a cold wind, which I think is the worst type of cold. However, I'm assuming she has a coat, and like, she takes the cab everywhere anyway, so why does it matter? It's not like she's on the train.
Yeah, and she's not walking everywhere. It doesn't make any sense, especially since like part of it is that Miranda really wants Carrie to come out to Brooklyn to see her place, which means she would have to take transport to get there. She's obviously not walking there, and it's like, I don't know, it's just not. Like, it's not that cold out, Carrie, shut the fuck up. Also, like, just hang out with your friends. It just sucks when someone only hangs out with their boyfriend.
Like, 36. And, like, Miranda makes a point, Miranda makes a point. I haven't seen this show in ages. I've forgotten everyone's names. But she makes the point that, like, she came out all the way from Brooklyn. The least she can do is just get a cab, like, across the fucking island. Like, it's not... If Miranda can make it from Brooklyn, Carrie can make it down, like, uptown. But she's like,
exactly.
What? You're basically just saying you don't want to come. Which, if you don't want to come, you don't want to come. But you can say that. Yeah. Yeah.
She's a fucking baby. And then Carrie goes home. Like, she does leave the Russian's place because, like, the next scene is her going home because her column is overdue.
For 4 days, so she stays at his place for 4 days and then goes home.
Like, God, that reminds me of this tweet I saw yesterday that was like, lesbians will go on a date and then come back 3 days later. And I was like, yeah, in my experience, that's true.
Yeah. And what about it? That sounds like a...
And what about it? That's how I lost my N64. Anyway.
I mean,
I'm only bringing my N64 if I'm staying for 4 days.
I would say for me, the issue of being bi is, like, I will date a man and they'll be like, right, time for you to go home. And I'll be like, excuse me? I want to move in.
Like, what?
I'm like, my suitcase is outside.
Yeah, like, what, you're already
moving in. We're adopting a cat. What the fuck are you talking about? It's bad. It's bad. Good. Like, I don't... I don't know, that's the only thing that crosses over. I'm not like, oh, let's have a threesome, which I think is what they want. I'm like, no, bitch, I'm moving in. We are having sex for 3 hours tonight. What's good? I don't care. I don't care if you're... I don't care.
You have higher standards when you're not only attracted to men. Like, when you are attracted to other genders, you just simply have higher standards for yourself. So
exactly. I'm like, I'm moving in. We are having sex again. And they're like, babe, my dick hurts. And I'm like...
like, honey, time for your 4 p.m. dick flattening.
Do you need your dick to have sex with me? You don't. You don't.
It's getting obliterated.
I'm a cock destroyer. I will not apologize for that. Nope.
Good.
No.
You shouldn't.
I really shouldn't.
But yeah, Carrie's definitely not bisexual. So she just... They've been dating for a while also. So they've just been hanging out for 4 days. And she goes home. And so she has multiple messages on her phone. They're all from Big. And they're just like, call me.
Yeah.
And she deletes them all.
Oh, Carrie, is your phone fucking broken? Like, after the first one is like, call me. Hey, Carrie. Hey, kid, it's me. And then after a couple, he's like, is your phone fucking broken, bitch? He gets really mad.
Yeah. And it's also, like, good for Carrie for deleting the messages. You'd think that this would be like, we are coming to the end of the show. This is Carrie demonstrating growth.
Yeah, no.
Good for her.
No.
But
no.
This is just more like, ding dong, reminder, Mr. Big still exists if you forgot about him. And I'm just, like, making just sad meme face.
Yeah, you're making, what is it, like, Wojak, but exhausted and, like, with the bloodshot eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's me when I see Big and hear Big, and I'm just like, we just can't catch a fucking break here. So,
yeah.
But that's it for now. Her column's overdue, so she's supposed to write it and shit. And but then we see that Carrie goes to Miranda's place after,
and she's telling her about how she deleted Big and like, oh, she'd be so proud of herself, and
like, don't pat yourself on the back yet. You're not free until he's dead. And he's not dead yet. So you don't congratulate yourself yet.
That's like me when I tell my friends that I unfollowed a guy on Instagram. I'm like, it's over. I unfollowed him on Instagram. And I've deleted his birth chart off of my astrology planner. It's over, girls. It's over. But yeah, so she tells her that. And they're like, she also starts talking about the Russian and how things are getting serious. But their main issue is that they don't have anything in common apart from the fact they fancy each other.
Yeah, they like each other and they like hanging out with each other. And they clearly have enough to talk about that they can spend 4 days together and not feel awkward about it. But they don't have anything in common. So I guess that's an issue. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's that unusual to date people that you're really different from.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess you need to have some stuff in common. I think, like...
Yeah, you need to have
like,
a foundation
there's trivial stuff. I don't think you need
common.
to have trivial stuff in common, really, for the foundation of a relationship. I think just, like, your values and your personality should probably have sort of, like, similar lines, I suppose. But the fact...
Yeah. It's good if you can enjoy the same kinds of media so you can, like, go to a movie together and both want to see the same thing. Or, like, I don't know, like, I guess this isn't a thing for Carrie, but maybe you want to play the same video games as each other sometimes. Or, like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like, it's not necessary, but it's good to have some stuff in common. I mean, I guess I say that you don't have to have a lot in common, but I'm just thinking about, like, pretty much everyone I've ever dated has had, like, a lot of interests in common with me in terms of, like, media and things like that. But
I don't know. They're both, like, creative people. I don't think that's... So they have that in common.
Yeah, and I'm also just thinking, like, okay, what's new? Because, like, this is the same, like, this is her and Big had nothing in common.
They have nothing in common.
Nothing
in
common
he's in business. Like, at least, like, Petrovsky's an artist, so it's like, okay, we're both creative people. We're both freelance. We both kind of work for ourselves. Like, you have that in common.
Yeah, and Petrovsky also isn't, like, emotionally holed up. Like, he's able to express himself to her and in a way that's very different from how Big was. And so even if they don't have anything in common, like interest-wise, at least they can still like just hang out together and have a good time.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think she has anything in common with like Aiden either. Like, what does Carrie even like other than like fashion?
I don't know. She
Like, I
doesn't
don't
seem to have any
know.
other interests. Like, I mean, I know she's gone to the opera or like the ballet before or something, and it seems to be something that Petrovsky's interested in. But then there doesn't seem to be anything that she like actually cares about. Because I mean, and it would make sense if she liked the ballet. I think if she was like, "Oh, I like ballet and theater because pretty clothes," or just like, "I'm in New York. I think it's really I like seeing theater. I like seeing live theater." There we go. That's a normal interest for a character to have. And then maybe that's something Petrovsky likes too, so they can go to the theater together. But I don't know. Carrie doesn't seem to have any interest. She just goes to events to hobnob with people.
Yeah, she kind of does. She doesn't really... She's probably one of those people who's just, like, really annoying to shop for Christmas and stuff. Like, you know, when you have friends who, like, don't really like anything that intensely, and you're just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about this? Like,
give me your hyperfixation so I can just buy you shit.
Yes, let me know. You have to have some. And some people just don't. Some people are like, I feel pretty normal about all the things I like. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But, yeah. Is there, like, what else even happens in the scene? I guess Steve comes home.
He's dressed like Marlon Brando and On the Waterfront. Like, he has this pea coat and, like, a little, you know, those little, like, mini beanies, like, those little fisherman beanies that, like, hipster guys wear that have, like, unwashed dicks and don't cut their pubes and ride bicycles and drink craft beer and have sailor tattoos. Those guys. All my exes.
Yeah.
He's wearing, like, that little hat and, like, a peacoat, like a double-breasted peacoat, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Miranda, Carrie, hey, girls, I got you a present, cheesecake cannolis," which, hey, I'd be down for.
I fucking want that so bad. That sounds fucking good.
Good, my god. Do you know how hard it is to get good cannolis in London? Yeah.
I want this so bad. I haven't eaten dinner yet, and I'm just like, fuck, I want
have
this.
eaten dinner, and I still want it.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, so, okay, before Steve comes in, Carrie also is just kind of like, what does she say? Or, well, she talks about how everything is really good, and then Miranda's just like, oh, thank God. I was starting to worry that you guys were perfect and that me and Steve were, like, bad for not being as good as you two. But then Miranda's also just like, okay, your thing isn't a problem. Like, I don't ask Steve about his job, and he doesn't ask me about my job, and I don't think he gives a shit about my job. Like, there's plenty of things that we just talk about other than work. So, like, you should just chill. And we also at this point learn that, well, the only person who has met the Russian so far is Charlotte, because she was with Carrie, like, the very first time they saw him. But, like, that's it. No one else has met him yet.
So she sort of says, like, oh, you know, maybe we should, like, maybe you guys should meet him. And, you know, she wants Miranda to meet him. She's like, I want you to meet my Russian. Okay. His defining characteristic is that he's Russian.
He's Russian, so his personality is so different from all the Americans on the show, and he's very artistic.
I don't know if this is, like, a difference between...
Yeah?
I don't know if this is a difference between, like, a European's idea of a Russian, because they kind of blend in, like, oh, he's Russian, but also the American idea of, like, Europeans. And I'm saying that with air quotations because I feel like a lot of the time Americans be like, oh, in Europe, everyone's like this. Oh, in Europe. As if it's not a fucking continent.
Yeah.
Which I would also say Americans do with, like, every continent, but we won't get into that.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
It's like, it's a continent full of hundreds of, like, not hundreds, but, like, dozens of countries.
Dozens of countries that have a lot of the time been at war against each other, and so you can imagine there are a lot of cultural differences between them.
So
yeah, and especially Russia. But I mean, yeah, it is very much, that is really what it is. Like, it's very like, oh, he's European.
I don't know. He doesn't seem, to me at least, he doesn't seem very cold.
Yeah, he seems very caring. There was the one episode where he kind of expressed his feelings that one
but
way.
that was more blunt than cold.
But
it wasn't that he didn't care.
Yeah.
It was that he was just being very blunt, which can also be explained by English not being his first language. And he speaks a bunch of languages, so it's not really a surprise if he just says some things quite bluntly. But he doesn't come across as cold or this kind of stereotypical Russian in the slightest. He just happens to be Russian. He's to me at least, I'm like, oh, he's very romantic. He does seem to be quite open. He keeps a lot of stuff private. He doesn't really talk about his daughter or his work from what we see. However, we don't see that much of their relationship. But Carrie's like, oh, he's so cold. He's my Russian. I don't know. I'm expecting Vladimir Putin to fucking come in. That's not what he's like at all.
Yeah, and it's kind of when she asked him about his daughter, he opens up about it. He's not oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm very closed off. He's just very romantic and kind of, he's an older guy too, which I think is part of the thing. She interprets a lot of it as cultural, and that's definitely possible. They grew up in very different worlds, but also it's kind of I don't know, he's just an older person that could also influence why he's more of a romantic person versus someone who just wants to fuck someone and then leave them.
And it also seems like he's lived a life and he's ready to just kind of settle down more. But I don't know, you could make him Italian or British or Russian and nothing would really change. But his whole personality seems to be, they make it in the show, or at least Carrie seems to make it. Him being Russian is a big part of his personality. And obviously your nationality makes a big part of your character. Where you grew up is a big part of who you are. But also at the same time, he could very easily be French and nothing would change. Especially since they go to Paris. They go to Paris in the fucking end of the season. He could have easily just been fucking French. And maybe they just got Mikhail Baryshnikov and they were great, make him Russian.
Yeah, I feel that's probably what happened. Because they were probably well, he needs to be foreign.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I guess the thing about Russia compared to Italy is it does seem more I don't want to use the word exotic. Because I hate that word, but also just I guess it's more foreign than something like Italy to someone like Carrie, who is somewhat familiar with, I guess, a little bit more of the culture of
New York,
Italy or something.
Sort of the area of New York she's in. Italian Americans at least have made a big mark on the culture as opposed to Russian Americans or Russian immigrants, even though there's probably, I would assume the numbers probably aren't that different wildly, but I don't know. She's oh, he's my Russian. And I mean, when I dated an American guy, I jokingly called him the American or my American or just the Yank or my mum's favorite, the Septic, which is Cockney rhyming slang for American. Yeah, but that was kind of take the piss out of this show with her.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's so weird. It's just it's weird to me. I need to rant about it for a bit. But that's kind of it. And then Carrie goes back to his place and he doesn't want to talk about work. And this where he's oh, those weren't my colleagues. Those weren't my friends. They were my colleagues. And this is where she suggests that he should meet her friends. And he's said, he's oh, I don't have any friends in New York. And she's well, you have me and I have friends. And I had a That's So Raven style flashback to when I said the exact same thing to the guy I was dating. And he was I don't have any friends over here. And I was oh, well, you have me and I have friends. So why didn't I introduce you to my friends? Yeah. And guess what? Didn't go well.
Fucking Christ.
Yes.
But on the flip side, the Russian, so Petrovsky is oh, well, I would love to meet your fantastic friends. That sounds great. I'll come and do that on Sunday. And also, you can work on your column on my fancy computer.
She's oh my God, on your fancy computer. And he's yeah. So she gets to work on it and he has 3 screens, which is a bit, it's whoa, super gamer.
It's
real
like
fucking
real gamer setup.
hours.
But it's like they're all three monitors are attached to each other. Like it's like three screens all attached kind of at like a slight angle to each other. And Carrie is just writing a fucking Word document. So this is so extra. Like this is so unnecessary. But then she starts writing her question, which is like, without sharing worlds, can even the hottest relationships run cold? And then somehow she hits something that makes the word cold become huge and it takes up the entire middle screen.
Do you get it?
Get
it just
it?
says cold. Question mark?
Where did the other words go? How did this happen? I've been using word processors for like well over half my life, and I have never had this happen to me before. I don't know what she did. This is so
my dad
stupid.
has 2 computers. He's not a gamer, but he is extra, and he has like 2 like monitors. I am a dumb bitch. I still think that like the computer is the monitor. Do you know what I mean?
You're so valid. Yeah, I mean, I think of it that way too. I think of it that way, but the thing is, I haven't had a desktop computer in years. Like, I haven't since, like, my parents had one for a long time. I don't even know if they still do. And my dad has a desktop computer, but it's like not, it's like his personal computer. And, like, I haven't personally used a desktop computer in so long. So I kind of feel the same way. I look at it and I'm like, oh, the computer. But, like, the box is the computer.
I know.
But, like, fuck
the box
that.
is just there for decoration. The computer is in the screen. I'm the dumbest bitch alive and I love it. But, like,
it's
I don't know how that shit works. I don't want to know. Because as soon as I know, I'm going to get uglier. So I'm just like, I'm either going to turn into a fucking, like, hot gamer Twitch, like, cat girl with the fucking headphones that have cat ears on them, or I'm going to turn into PewDiePie and look ugly. So I don't want to know. I don't want to know, bitch. I don't want to know how that shit works. But
that's fair.
It's, like, cold.
That's fair.
And it's very dramatic.
Yeah, I don't know shit. Yeah, it's a lot. And Carrie's like, oh, how do I fix it? I don't know how to do anything on computer. Which makes sense, I guess, in this case, because literally I have no idea how you do this. So I don't know how to undo it. I think it makes sense
that, like, Carrie just knows how to, like, she knows how to type shit and email stuff, and that's it. She doesn't use a computer for anything else. Maybe Googling every now and again, but that's it.
She's basically George R. R. Martin, but about sex instead of
It takes her slightly less time to write something as well.
Yeah. This is true. She does make her deadlines.
She makes her deadlines most of the time, as opposed to like postponing them for literally like a decade now, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, we should get Carrie to write The Winds of Winter.
Do a better job. I'm kind of like, I have not even read these books, and I'm like, George, what else are you doing? What else are you doing?
Idea.
Get a fucking ghostwriter. Just get someone else to help you write it. Like, you could do that.
This is true. He doesn't have enough money to do this at this point.
Get a ghostwriter. George, what else are you fucking doing that you can't write this book? Like, you can have people help you do that. Like, I get that.
Yeah, it's been a fucking decade. It's been like a decade since A Dance with Dragons.
To help people write books. They're called ghostwriters. They're called personal assistants. Like, who is the motherfucker?
Yeah.
Who is this goddamn editor? Can you imagine? Can you imagine being...
Oh, they're pissed. They're pissed. They hate it. They
are smoking fucking 20 cigarettes a day. Prayers to
basically.
them.
So am I, because I saw Brooks made this tweet the other day that was a poll that was like, what do you think's going to come out first, The Winds of Winter or a COVID vaccine? And I had an aneurysm. No, I actually voted The Winds of Winter. But that's how I'm currently feeling about the state of the, world and the virus. I was like, this is never going to come out. He's going to die first, but it's still going to come out before the COVID vaccine.
I mean, I feel bad for him because everyone's like, oh, you're going to die before you fucking finish your series, motherfucker. And, like, I guess he probably feels bad about that, but also... he has plenty of options.
He is kind of, like, too rich for me to really feel bad for saying it when, like...
I'm like, George, you're literally stuck in your house right now. Yeah. What else are you doing?
Yeah, and he's writing these long blog posts.
Blog posts.
And then he wrote this entire book about the Yeah, he writes... He wrote that entire book about the Targaryens, and I'm just like, George, I am telling you there is not a single family I care about less than this one.
Right?
At all. Please.
When I can't sleep sometimes, I will listen to, like, a family history of the Targaryens because it gets too confusing. My brain just shuts off. Because it'll be like, so-and-so's the uncle of the aunt, of the niece, of the nephew, of the brother, sister, wife, and I'm like, cool. Adios. I'm gonna sleep forever now. And it works. I'm like, I don't care about these fucking blonde twinks. I can't care any less. But, like,
I can't care about them either. I don't give a shit
about them. Oh my god, the magical people in your book are all blonde with light-colored eyes. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm supposed to feel, like, emotions about the fact that sometimes they do wild shit and sometimes they're normal, and I'm like,
oh my god, they're monarchs.
Care.
I'm meant to give a fuck about a monarch. I don't give a shit. They're all inbred and they can die. I feel the same way as I do about the real monarchy. They're all inbred and I fucking hate them. Yeah,
this is true.
But it's like, George,
this is true.
Just write the fucking book. Just write the.
Carrie could do this.
George, fucking hire someone to write it for you. Just do that. Mm-hmm. Just tell someone else what you want and just get them to write it for you. It's not that fucking difficult.
Yeah. Carrie would write The Winds of Winter and she would change the title to The Cold War and she would just make it a lot simpler.
The Cold War, that would make more sense.
It would. It's cold. It's going to be winter.
George R. R. Martin, hire Stephen King to write your book for you. I fucking dare you, pussy motherfucker. Because you know what? It would get done in like a year. It would get done.
This is true. Stephen King does write.
Fucking year. Are you kidding me? Like, okay, there would probably suddenly, you know, there'd be like a lot with Samwell because, you know, writers have to. Everyone would suddenly become a writer in fucking like because that's all Stephen King can write. However, it would get done. It'd get done.
This is true.
Exactly.
This is true.
So what you like about Stephen King, he kind of is like trash, but he gets shit done.
He does write many books and finishes them. That is something he does.
And they're like serviceable at least. Yeah. At least they're like, this is fine. At best it's like, oh, classic. This would make a good movie. And at worst, they're okay.
Yeah. You'd think George would have a fire under his ass after the show was so bad that he has to be like, fuck, I promise it's not this bad, guys. Like, I promise it's going to be better than this.
Hit him like a ton of bricks and he was like, oh, no one's going to want to fucking read my book. When it's the opposite, like, everyone's going to want to read your book because the show was bad. Unless it does end the same way as the book, just with more filler. And he's like, oh, fuck, I got to change everything now.
I feel like it's going to end pretty similar to the show, but the difference is that the character motivations will make more sense because he, like, builds in the characterization a long time in advance instead of just being like, a bell rang, and then Dany burned everyone in the entire city because she went crazy
sicko mode.
So... Yeah, she went sicko mode.
And, like, Bran doesn't become the king specifically because he's disabled. And then we all start chanting about how he's fucking disabled. And everyone in the, like, King's Moot or whatever the hell it is not like, oh yeah, it's super sick that, like, the North are entirely in control of our fucking country. None of us would have any reason to want to succeed.
It's very weird that they would make the North independent at that point when it doesn't make any sense. But, like, yeah, I'm going to be pissed off if I read the last book if it ever comes out and Tyrion doesn't die. I'm going to be so pissed off.
Dude. Like, he is the worst. He's the worst.
Fucking sucks.
I just want Ariel Martell to be happy because reading her character description, I'm like, oh, this is literally me. She's so
like, good. I love her.
I'm like, oh, she's got brown eyes and brown hair and big brown titties with brown nipples and she's smart and sexy. I'm like, this is me. So I just want her to be okay.
Me too. I sure hope she is because she's fucking good as shit.
I'm just gonna sit in my tower and fuck dudes. And I'm like, good for you, sis.
Good for you, and good for you for not being adapted into the show.
Shit.
Queen
she's
shit.
Like, this is below my pay grade, so no thank you. But anyway, welcome to post Game of Thrones. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe that's what we should do.
Post Sex and the City.
We just watch Game of Thrones.
God, post Game of Thrones. PP God.
PP God. Okay, so we watch. No,
I don't think I could do it. I don't have the strength.
Like watch Game of Thrones and then like listen to P-Got and then talk about it. Like I don't know. I mean, it sounds like fun. I don't know if I can do that every week.
No, say what you want about men, but Brooks and Eddie really did watch the entire show.
We stand. They're on the list. You know that, like, have you seen that meme going around? It's like, name 3 men you'd be comfortable with standing in an elevator. And I was always like blanking on it, but now I think about it, I'm like, Brooks, Eddie, Matt, beef in the sink.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. That would be my choice, I think, of 3 men.
Like, yeah. You know what? Brooks and Eddie are on that list. Men you would trust with your drink. I'm like, here you go, boys. That's it.
For sure.
Say I don't trust a lot of men, but I'm like, you boys did watch that, all of it, and somehow made it through. And for that, high praise. Yeah. Yeah.
Praise. Okay. Sex in the City.
Yeah, next. So then we go to Sam. She's getting her nails did.
This was the 3rd foot crime this episode, because she's getting her feet massaged because she's getting a pedicure, and it's just like you see a close up of her feet getting massaged, and like, who directed this episode? It is on site. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
It might have been Quentin Tarantino. We don't know. It might have been him under a pseudonym, perhaps.
Maybe. But she's sitting there getting her feet massaged, and she overhears these people saying, "Oh, I can't believe Smith is gay. I thought he was dating Samantha Jones." And then they're dropping the F slur here. And Samantha's like, "Oh, I'm like," she doesn't say anything to the woman, but she's very like offended that they think that she and Smith are just like pretending to be dating.
That's not what offends her. It's that, like, Samantha would possibly not be having hot, sexy sex with Smith because he is gay. Yeah. So that's... Now she's mad about it. Now she's mad. Also, this might actually be directed by Quentin Tarantino under a pseudonym, because Samantha does wear an afro wig, and they make a Jackie Brown reference later. So, question mark.
This is true.
Then we go to the dog show.
At least a fan. Likes to say slurs too. Like, this whole script is just like really seems to be written like very Tarantino-esque.
Very Tarantino-esque.
Just like, I want to have people saying slurs who aren't the people who get to say them, and I'm also going to be in the episode myself saying the slurs
because I'm playing a character. Don't worry about it. I think, if you have to show like a film bro any episode of Sex and the City, this is the one, because it's the most Tarantino-esque. But then we go to the dog show that Charlotte was talking about, and Samantha is there when she's sitting in the crowd with Charlotte and Miranda, and she's like, F-slur? How could they say that, they were parents? So, like, she's upset. These women were saying, like, Samantha Jones, I thought she had the best sex in New York City, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, how could anyone say that I wasn't having good sex and that I wasn't dating a sexy man who wants to have sex with me? What the fuck?
Yeah, and they're just kind of like, okay. And this is also the part where Stanford is like, why would they assume I was gay?
Like, why would they assume I was gay? Older gay gentleman. And he's like, well, at least Marcus got a shout out. Apparently Marcus got a bunch of auditions from, like, the photograph, which is good. But Stanford doesn't seem to be happy about that. He's just mad they didn't say his name and assumed he was gay.
Yeah. I guess, like, he's not, like, done anything like Broadway where anyone would know his name.
I think,
but like, also like the last time we saw them together, wasn't Stanford like, yeah, we haven't had sex in ages, we're just not very like happy
they
right
did
now.
Dance. It was at the gay prom, and then they did dance together. So I guess I don't know. I guess that means they're back together. But like, I think, doesn't Stanford work in PR or something? Like, I think he's like a talent agent or something. Like, he does stuff like behind the scenes. So I guess...
Yeah, probably. I guess it's like,
no, they
wouldn't know his name.
But like, because they cut out Samantha. I feel like anyone who would know who Samantha was would probably know who Stanford is. Because I remember him
that
sort
makes
of
sense.
like... I vaguely remember him dating like an underwear model that he had under his employ. So I think he might be like a model, like talent scout or something. I don't know. But yeah, they wouldn't
like some
know
kind of
who
fake job.
some job which like real people don't have. But if you are a modeling scout listening to this, please check out my Instagram. I am very photogenic. But like, yeah, he's not really anyone you would need to put into like a gossip rag. Maybe in like if I open up my copy of, I do have a subscription to Vogue. But if you open up my copy of Vogue, they'll probably have like, designers and like talent people, and they'll have them named in it. But not really.
Yeah.
Not like a gossip rag.
Yeah.
No, so
that
yeah,
makes sense.
they're talking about that, and they also seem pissed off that like this dog show is lasting forever, which they do.
I've never actually been to a dog show, so I have no idea how long they are.
But whenever Crufts is on, because they show it on television over here, I can't remember which. I think it's the Westminster, because they mentioned like the Westminster Dog Show. I think that is Crufts. Like Crufts is the nickname. Like the Oscars are for the Academy Awards, and whenever that's on, my mum and I will like not watch all of it, but like watch a bit of it every now and again. Like because it's doggies. They're very cute.
They're doggies. They're so cute. They were really cute in this one.
Like, the Westminster Dog Show lasts for like a week. Like it's a long, and I think it's like all day pretty much. Like it's a long fucking thing, and they televise a lot of it, but still, and it's like a lot because they have to like show them around, and then certain breeds of dogs have like obstacle courses and stuff, like in Nintendogs. Which when I actually started watching Crafts, I was like, oh my god, Nintendogs is real. I
love that.
Basically, it's just like Nintendogs, and they have, you know, the voiceover people. They don't have as much sexual tension as they do in Nintendogs, but so like it does last a long time. Like those things are like all day, which I think you'd only really go if you like really gave a shit about dogs. If you just thought dogs were cute, you'd get bored very easily. It's like the one, and you just watch on TV, and then when you get bored, you just turn it over and watch something else. Yeah.
Makes sense. We go backstage and we see Elizabeth Taylor.
We see Elizabeth Taylor behind the scenes, behind the curtain.
She's getting groomed.
And I mean, Charlotte's like, I think she has a real shot, like, because her whole thing. Well, because the owner says, her previous owner is like, oh, she never won because one of her legs was slightly shorter than the other, which sounds to me like a reason that a dog wouldn't win at a show. Obviously, it doesn't mean all dogs are perfect. But like, if they're judging them based, first of all, I don't agree with judging dogs. Same way I disagree with pageants, particularly like child pageants. I'm like, all children are perfect, all dogs are perfect. Why are we judging them? But I get it. Like, that would be a reason why you wouldn't win a dog show. But Charlotte's just like, oh no, she just needs more encouragement, which isn't what they judge the dogs on. Like, they're breeded specifically for, like, shows and shit.
Yeah, they very much are. Which, like, at first, I was... So, like, the part of the main conflict here is that, like, Elizabeth Taylor gets her period, and I was like, why the fuck is this dog not spayed? And then I was like, right, because, like, show dogs probably do a lot of breeding for, like, the genetics and shit.
They're, like, literally bred, but also I was like, if you're having her as a pet, like, she should be spayed.
Yes, absolutely. No. Like, it doesn't make any sense to not, especially if you're going to take it around other dogs ever, which you should if you're taking it, like, outside of your apartment, which obviously you have to do.
But, yeah, she gets her... Yeah. She goes into heat, but she gets a dog period. And, which I always found funny, because I'm like, oh, she's like a... You know, like, the phrase, like, oh, like a bitch in heat. But also, she's bleeding. She's bleeding at her pussy. She's got a period. You don't want to fuck when you're on your period. You just want to sleep. Well, sometimes you do. Sometimes you're just, like, chaotic, and you're like, fuck me. I need to fucking kill people. Like, I want blood, you know. Sometimes you're just like, that's what periods are like. Sometimes you just want to kill people.
This is true. Sometimes you want to kill people. Sometimes you want to just have that dick look like it was a sword that slayed your pussy. And yeah, and make some rosé sauce.
I mean, I have had period sex, and it was after I found out that you can apparently use period sex for blood magic, so I was like, interesting. You're telling me I can do blood and sex magic on my period? And I'm going to see the boy I like place? Fabulous. I was like, oh no, I forgot to tell you I'm on my period. So let's we have to... Do you want to... Have you heard of sex magic? Have you ever read Aleister Crowley's book, Sex Magic?
I have not, but that would be incredible if your partner
I know
had.
I found the one when they're like, yes. Yeah,
that's true.
So she's on a period. And obviously that would be an issue. I mean, it's not like you can tell. It's not like the fucking dog can be like, oh, my nipples are sore. My period's coming. It's a dog.
Yeah, this is true. I've never had to think about this before because any dogs that my parents ever got from like puppy age were always males. And the female dogs we've ever had were spayed like before we got them, I think. And so I've just never had to think about this
I've
before.
never like owned a dog. I mean, I had a dog when I was younger, but like I don't really remember it, and I'm sure she was spayed. So I think my mum probably knew people who like had dogs in dog shows, from what I remember, but I didn't ask her about this. From what I can imagine, though, it's not like she can wear a fucking tampon. It's not like she can go on birth control and be like, oh, yeah, let me schedule my bleed for the week after this, actually. Like, I'll just keep taking my pill for a week longer so I don't get my period on this big event. Like, you can't do that. It's a fucking dog. So, what are they going to do? Deduct points? And like you said, like, they can't have her spayed. If she's going to be a dog, like a pedigree dog and bred for dog shows, then yeah, she would be bred to have puppies. So they'd want her to have puppies, so they wouldn't have her spayed until at least after she'd had puppies.
Yeah, that would make sense. Although I can't, like, this, it's weird that Charlotte adopted her and wasn't like, yeah, you know, I'm probably not going to breed her, so I'm just going to, like, have her spayed right now and then just not have to worry about it. Because, like, if your dog does end up getting pregnant, like, it's different, too, when you have a female dog, because it's just, like, I really hate it when people don't get their dogs neutered, but it makes a little bit more sense.
I guess. And,
I guess.
I don't know, even if she was, like, I feel like it would still make sense. She was like, oh, this is a pedigree dog, so, like, maybe I'll have her have some puppies, and then I'll get, like, so, you know, you can go on and sell the puppies or something with someone, but then you would still need to go through, like, pedigree, like, owners and stuff to get her pregnant, and then to split the proceeds or whatever for the puppies. Because, I mean, that's still a thing. If you were like, all right, you're going to make plenty of money if you have her have puppies and then you sell the puppies, whatever the fucking shady ethics of that is. But, like, it's a pedigree dog, you know. And also she got it for free. Yeah. A pedigree dog?
She did get it for free.
And it's not like she can afford to just buy the fucking dog. Like, okay. There's a lot...
No,
there's a lot of shady dog ownery going on with this whole storyline, which is,
this is true.
But
I do love, though, that Anthony is like, what are you going to do? Find a teeny tiny tampon for her?
That would be great. I love it. And then just, like, the tiny string hanging out.
The tiny little string. It'd be so funny.
It'd be great.
It'd be cute.
But yeah, she has a period, so she has to do the show with her period. And, like, Charlotte comes around and do the little walking thing with her. And she's kind of, like, pushing her along, like, okay, you know, if we don't stop for too long, you won't notice the blood. And I guess none of the other dogs there are male, so they're not freaking out about anything. And then there's the judging.
Yeah.
And Charlotte gets narrowed down. Because the judge has a crush on her.
Yeah, like, just thinks she's really pretty. I get it.
No other like, I think there are multiple judges for this shit. Anyway, and then they win because Charlotte's the prettiest pretty girl. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, this kind of sounds like how rich people sports work. So
there's like makes a point of like how blue-blooded she is, and like how like waspy and American she is.
Yeah, even though the dog, like, bleeds on her shoe, which makes no sense.
No.
Physically. physics-wise. Like, I have no idea how the trajectory of this blood worked to land on her
she's
boot. But anyway.
Elizabeth Taylor is on a podium.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
And then Anthony starts hitting on this, like, massive buff guy, like, security guard. And then this other guy comes up to Samantha, and he's like, "Oh, Samantha, I hear you're going out with that Smith Jared guy. What's his number?" And Samantha's like, "Oh, yeah, we're dating. So he's seeing someone." And he's like, "No, that's so funny. No, tell me what's his number, because he is a homosexual." And Samantha is furious.
Yeah,
No.
she doesn't like it. So the very next thing that happens is that Samantha decides to film a sex tape with Smith to get rid of all the rumors. And so they have it set up so he's, like, taking her from behind, and she's just, like, wearing this, like, diamond bra. Like, it's, like, this... It's, like, incredible.
I mean, if I was going to do a sex tape,
but yeah.
and I knew it, like, I was like, I'm going to do a sex tape and this is going to be released to the public, I'm going to wear a diamond bra. I'm going to wear the nicest, like, lingerie that I can find. I'm going to look the sexiest as I possibly can. I don't know if I necessarily want to be, like, doggy style, though.
Yeah, I guess the idea with that is you can see both of their faces very clearly.
I suppose. That is it. And she says, make sure that you say, "Oh, Samantha Jones, I love having sex with you, Samantha Jones."
Yes, which sounds so natural and normal to say during sex.
Their
but
full name every time I've ever had sex with someone, we said our full names twice in the same sentence.
Yeah. And
yes,
how much you love fucking
I
them.
could fuck you
It's
forever,
good.
Samantha Jones. Yes. Normal thing to say.
But it's good. And then, then we go out for drinks with the girls, and this is where Samantha has her afro wig. Oh, wait, no, we skipped over never mind, I skipped over the part where Elizabeth Taylor is in the park.
Oh, yeah. So she's at the park and she gets gangbanged. Gangbanged?
Yeah. Basically... Because Harry's like, "Oh, let her go play with the other dogs." And as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh, fuck no. Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me? You're no way. Like, you know what just happened." Like, Charlotte's like, "Okay, well, I'll let her go play with the other dogs." And then it is like a montage of all these dogs barking and running over to Elizabeth Taylor being like, "I gotta get my fix." And that's basically the scene.
Yeah, and they like... She gets gangbanged. She gets a train run on her. Like, all the dogs fuck her. And you know what? Good for her. Yeah.
Good for her.
And what about it?
And what about it? It's good shit for Elizabeth Taylor. Charlotte is like, "Oh my god, how could this have possibly happened?" And I'm like, you are so stupid.
When she's in heat in a dog park, what do you think was going to happen? Like, it'd be one thing to, like, walk her around the neighborhood, like, with a leash on and make sure she stays away from other dogs. But it's in a dog park and she's off her leash, like, and there's all these dogs around and they all start sniffing her and they all start fucking. So she's obviously definitely going to be pregnant. Yeah.
Like, she's gotta be, And, like, Harry doesn't really do anything to stop it. He kind of is just like, "No, stop it." And, but, like, he doesn't pull the dog away or anything like that. And, like, the number of dogs involved here is, like, almost comical. Because it's like, there must be like 30 dogs in this shot. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of dogs and they're like surrounded by like him and he's trying to pull them off and everything. And obviously it doesn't work. Yeah.
So good for her.
That's what I say. I say, do you know what? You're a free woman. In the words of Lady Gaga, you're a free woman. I mean, I know she's a dog, but she can do what she likes. Yeah.
This is true. Then that's where we go for the girls having drinks, where Samantha has the afro wig, because the first thing Miranda says is, "I can't believe Elizabeth Taylor got gangbanged in the park." And then Carrie gets a call, and her cell phone ID, the caller ID, just says Russian. It doesn't have his name. It says Russian on it.
It's not like Alexander. It's not Petrovsky. It's not like even a heart emoji. It's just Russian. And she picks it up and she's like, "Hello." And he's like, he says he can't come tonight because he's stuck working. And, and then like, "Oh no, it's a shame." And he orders a bottle of champagne for them. So it seems like it's not like
it's not in bad spirits or anything. He just needs to work, and he's in one of those moods. If you date an artist, they're in creative moods, and they just need to work sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't really seem like, it's not like Big where he's just like, oh fuck, I couldn't be fucked to come or something. It's like he genuinely has like a really close deadline, and like the creative process is very much not like, well, I just have to work for a long time and it'll get done and I can finish early. It's like you a lot of the time just have no idea what the fuck you want to do, so you're just like at the last minute have to get a bunch of stuff done. So like I don't really think that this is too unheard of. Like I do think maybe he could have told her a little bit beforehand,
he probably
knew that he'd be busy.
But also, I am just being mean because it's what happens when you date artists. And they're like, oh, I just need to focus on my work. Oh, I'm so busy working. I can't see you. I need to work. You know.
Yeah.
I'm just being mean this episode. Oh, I'm so fucking valid. I'm sorry. I can't stop myself. But yeah, he orders... I think that
you shouldn't.
Fuck that guy. But he orders a bottle of champagne for the girls, and they're like, "Oh, it's a shame, but another time." And I guess they're all fine with it for a bit. And Carrie does some fucking bullshit here. Bad idea.
I hate this. This is such
dumb
crap.
idea. She's like, "Oh, why don't we just go to his place anyway?"
Yeah, she's like, I've got a key to his place. We could just go and stop by and have a real quick meetup. And he always tells me to be more spontaneous. So, like, let's be spontaneous. And they're all, like, kind of drunk at this point, too. So they show up at his place, and Carrie's, like, drunkenly knocking on the door, like, banging on it. And he's just like, he answers, and he's just like, I told you I was working. And he's, like, very serious, and she's just, like, very bouncy.
Yeah, she's like very bouncy, and he's obviously working like on his art, and he doesn't seem very happy. And she introduced him to the girls, and Samantha is also wearing this like fucking afro wig and like an orange cape, which is a bold look. I cannot say I love the afro wig, but we'll go with it for now. And
yeah,
like he doesn't seem very impressed. I mean, he's working and like he doesn't want to fucking talk to people, because as much as I like rag on the fact that like he's an artist, like he is, it's a creative process. Like you don't necessarily want to fucking interact with people. If you don't want to interact with people, you don't want to interact with people. So
yeah, and it's a process to be a host. Like, hosting people is kind of exhausting, and if you're already really busy with other stuff, you really don't want to be, like, entertaining other people or anything like that. And even if they are kind of, like, not expecting you to do much, it's still, like, you have to be there and feel like you're not a shitty host.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. And it'd be one thing if Carrie called him and gave him the heads up at least, or asked if it was okay.
Yeah, but they just show up.
And it gets very awkward, and he says like, oh, lovely to meet you ladies, and then goes back inside, and they all kind of make excuses to leave, as you would expect.
Yeah, Miranda makes another Cold War just not even Cold War reference, but she's like, Steve's gonna think I've defected.
Why?
And it's like, literally, this is so shoehorned, but okay.
And yeah, so she goes back to, so we follow Miranda, and she goes back to her place, and Steve is in bed, and she like kisses him, and she's like, I love you for loving my friends and for bringing me cannoli, and she's all saying all this stuff that she loves about him, and they fuck. He was just lying in bed reading a book about plumbing, and then he laid his own pipe. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good for him, I guess.
And then Miranda, I guess, couldn't sleep, so she goes on her computer and she finds, like, the sex tape that Samantha made. It's been posted, and she watches a bit of it, and it's very awkward and not very sexy.
Yeah, it's a lot, and Miranda watches it for a bit longer than I would have expected her to. She, like, stares at it for, like, a full 30 seconds, and then instead of closing the window, she just closes her laptop. It's gonna be there when you open it again.
Yeah.
Like, does she not know
No.
how laptops work?
Yeah,
Fair.
it's a lot, and she's traumatized, and I guess that breaks her habit of wanting to look at gossip magazines.
Like, I guess. I do love that this sex tape just was in this gossip magazine, like, website that just popped up, like, as if that's something that would get published in a gossip magazine.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never. I guess this is back when like celebrity sex tapes were like a big deal, and obviously this is before people were like, I guess maybe if stuff is released without consent, we shouldn't post it. And like it's the matter that I'm sure like the PR spin was like, oh no, it was leaked, which is like I think at least a couple celebrity sex tapes were probably released knowingly, and said that they were, but still ethically probably shouldn't post it or view it. But like I guess it's like all the rage of like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian and Colin Farrell. I feel like everyone's forgotten about Colin Farrell's sex tape.
I didn't even know he did one, but also I just never think about
him
Colin
all
Farrell.
the time. I love him.
That's enough for both of us then, I guess. I mean, I don't dislike him at all or anything. I'm just like, I just don't think about him.
I remember I followed someone on Tumblr, and they're like, do you remember when people would have like personalized tags for like celebrities? I remember I followed someone and their personalized tag was a quote from his sex tape, which was
oh my God.
breakfast, lunch, and fucking dinner, which
oh my God.
And then I know,
Holy
and
shit.
then someone, I mean, I feel bad talking about this, but then on like Graham Norton or something, I think Sharon Osbourne mentioned that she saw it and was like breakfast, lunch, and fucking dinner. And then on Broad City, they mentioned it, and Ilana was like breakfast, lunch, and fucking dinner. So that quote from his sex tape is like known from it, and like obviously I'm not going to go back and watch it because it's icky at the very fucking least. But that quote is stuck in my head, and I will sometimes say it about like food I like, and then I remember that it was Colin Farrell talking about pussy.
Yeah, I mean,
good
for him.
Also, tie-in, he did have an emotional relationship with Elizabeth Taylor right before she died. Yeah, they had like an emotional romantic relationship, which I'm like interested in.
Did not know that.
She could have been her 8th husband, 9th marriage. I think that's the right calculation.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can
but
never
somewhere
remember if she
around
had
there.
8 marriages or 8 husbands, because I know she married Richard Burton twice. Yes.
Right.
Queen shit. Queen shit only. Anyway.
True.
But I don't know if I ever... Last scene of the episode, I don't know if I ever want to see my friend's sex tape. That was all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no. If that happened and that leaked, I'd be like, well, okay, if they put it out on purpose, I still wouldn't watch it. But like, I'd be like, respect. If it leaked, I'd be like, I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
That's
if they
horrible.
put it out on purpose, I'd be like, cool. Good for you, babes. If it leaked, obviously, I'd be like, that is horrible. I'm sorry. I would never watch it. But even if they put it out on purpose, I don't want to see it. Maybe I would out of curiosity. I'd watch like the first like couple seconds, and then I'd be like, no, I'm good actually.
Yeah. It'd be it's kind of like if any of your friends got like an OnlyFans, and I'd be like, that's awesome, but like I don't really want to like.
No, I'm not gonna. I will give you the money. You know how like the people that pay for our Patreon are our friends. Maybe I'd just donate money as a friend, but I wouldn't look at the content. I'll subscribe to get their numbers
That's
up,
true.
but I wouldn't
That's
look
true.
at the content.
This is true. That's a really good way to do it.
But like, I support you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's getting to the end of the episode. Basically, Carrie is upset with the Russian, and she goes to confront him about it. And he's sitting in the kitchen, and he has a coffee and whiskey. So you know shit is serious. And
yeah, and when she says his name, he's just staring straight ahead at his the screen that he's looking at, and he just doesn't respond to anything. He's just like fucking dissociating.
Like, I'm really mad at you because you weren't very nice to my friends earlier, and he's not responding. So she goes over and she's like, is everything okay? And basically he says he spent 6 years on this like one piece and he's really nervous that it's not going to be worth it, or it's not going, people aren't going to like it, or they're not going to get it or whatever. And she comforts him and she sits and listens to him complain. Problem solved. We're not going to talk about the issue at hand. Let's just move on.
Yeah, she just, like, for once in her fucking life, puts her own thing to the side for now and just listens to his problems, which I'm like, fuck, wasn't expecting this to happen.
No, I guess she's just like, oh, you're upset?
Yeah, man have feelings too. Man, not just penis. Well,
this man does. Big is a robot. But, like,
yeah,
I think Big is, like, I don't know, the illegitimate child of Ted Bundy or something. But Petrovsky does have feelings and does have emotions, and it makes sense that if he's been working on one piece for 6 years, he would be nervous about how it would be perceived. Or at least it's been like a very long time since he's had an exhibition. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's nice to see her actually supporting him and putting her bullshit kind of to the side for a second. Rankings.
I forget every goddamn episode that we do rankings. I would say, I don't know who's at my top, because it's...
I just don't really care about most of their plots this week.
Like, maybe Charlotte, but then she's also stupid. Samantha, because I'm like... I might put Samantha at the top just for having a diamond bra and for releasing a sex tape of her fucking her hot boyfriend. Like, not down with the slurs, have to put big fucking, like, capital letters warning for that. Not cool with the slurs. But, like, I don't know what I can't expect any better from this fucking show at this point. We're at season 6.
Yeah, it's wild, because this is really the end of the show, and this is really pushing it was a different time thing, which... Like, the early 2000s were still a long time ago, but, like, it's extremely... There's a point where it's like, better.
Like, this show does know better. I think, like, the phrase F/hag is... It was sort of, for a long time, said without people really taking into account that they were saying a slur. But also, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if she's necessarily at my top. But I feel like she did the most interesting thing. She had the most interesting plot, at least.
This is true. It's really hard to rate them this week because I feel like Miranda was probably at the bottom because she literally didn't have, like, any plot on her own. It was literally just her existing, so she's probably my bottom. I honestly might put Carrie at the top just because she... I don't know. I feel like, well, first of all, she deletes all of Big's messages, which for now I'll give her credit for. We'll see, but, like, for now I'll at least give her that. She deletes all his messages. She's kind of moving on. She does eventually go out to Brooklyn to see Miranda's new place. She has a bit of a thing with the Russian, like a bit of an argument, but then, like, she cares about him more in the end. So, like, I do feel like this episode is decent for her. Even if I just don't give a shit about her and the Russian together at all. But, like, maybe I'll put her at the top. And then, I feel like maybe I'll put... I feel like it's such a, like, putting Samantha second. Because you're right, she had the best plot. But then it was, like, there were so many parts about it that made me, like, cringe. That maybe I'll put her second. And then Charlotte third. Just because, like, I don't care about the dog show. And I just feel like it's, like... really poor dog ownership to let your dog who's in heat just go out with a bunch of other dogs around and then be surprised. Like, do you not know anything? I just can't. Also, she, like, literally only won for being beautiful, which is kind of just, like, I'm sorry, but, like, this rich person sport is just stupid, even though I think dogs are amazing, but, like, you won for stupid reasons.
For being a conventionally attractive white woman, which...
And it's like she's never done a dog show before, so, like, she's not practiced at this. It should be like in fucking Glee where they go to, like, regionals and they lose the first time because they're like, we don't know what we're doing. Anyway. Is your ranking different?
I don't think so. Like, it's really hard to care.
Yeah, it's hard. This week is just it's just not exciting this week. And it's like, well, I hope things pick up. We've got 3 episodes left. We still haven't gotten the Sam Wig gift.
How do we have like 3 episodes left and we're like, this is boring? Like, we are coming up to the season finale. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's like dulled because in retrospect we're like, okay, well, we have 2 movies as well. But then it's like, you would think that it would keep ramping up, and I still feel like we have kind of filler episodes. Like, why does fucking Charlotte have a dog? Like, why is that her plot? That she has a dog?
I don't know. I guess it's literally just to be like, she can be fulfilled without a baby,
her objective is her wanting to have a baby, fine. But then right at the end, they're like, oh, she adopts anyway. So why shouldn't, like, this whole, like, we should be talking about her, like, talking about adoption. That's more interesting. Her figuring out her adoption plan.
It should be. I guess maybe part of, like, having a dog could be, like, realizing that you can still love something even if it didn't come out of your own vagina.
I don't know.
Like, oh, turns out that I can still think this is an amazing thing to take care of even if I'm not the one who birthed it. Which shouldn't take something like this to realize, but a lot of people are stupid.
Maybe it should take like 2 episodes to figure that shit out. And she also was the person who like encouraged adoption when she was with Trey.
Yeah.
So why is she
true.
now
Yeah,
I don't want to adopt when she was with Trey? She was the one who like I remember her saying like, oh, we could adopt like a baby, and there are lots of girls from China, and they wouldn't. I remember her saying like, we could adopt a baby.
Yeah, and then Bunny was all pissed off being like, well, you think that you could be, and then she says racist things. And Charlotte's like, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. It is very filler at this point, and it's very like, okay, Miranda's plot is very much just, her plot basically feels done. She just kind of feels like she's just here at this point for like the ride, so that they don't have to wrap her up at the same time as everyone else. And like, Carrie obviously has still like her finale stuff to get through. I really feel like Charlotte and Miranda are kind of at their conclusion at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It does feel very like we're at the conclusion now, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, the finale is 2 parts, so we have 3 episodes left. We have 3 episodes left, but 2 of those
motorcycle man is like, shut up, liberal.
I hate him. I fucking hate the people who live near me who just rev their engines, and I'm like, I'll kill you with your muffler. Anyway, yeah, so we're almost done. We don't actually have any questions this week, so if you do want to send us questions, send them to us at citygirlsmakedo.tumblr.com/ask, and we'll get to those. Only 3 episodes left before the movies, but like we mentioned, we're not done,
motherfucker. We will continue. Yeah.
We will survive. But in the meantime, if you would like to give us money on Patreon, you can also do that. You can give us $1 a month to be a haymower, and you'd get a special Discord role, access to any bonus content we put out. You'd get the secret Looker and Nanu Discord channel. And then at the $5 level, you get all of that plus an even specialer Discord role. You can submit stuff for Steve Voice for me to read out. And the $10 level, you get all of that plus an even specialer role in the Discord. Plus, you can listen to us record live every week if you'd like to. Also, at the $5 and up level, I will read your name out on the podcast every week. So all our $5 and up donors... all our $5 and up donors, we have Alex Shope, Summer Geist, Jennifer Snyder, Matt Ribeiro, Jess Ayalachi, and Siberian Pine Hardwood. So thank you all so much, and to all our $1 donors too, and everyone listening. Love y'all, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. We love you.
Yeah, we love you all, and we're running a bit late, so I probably won't do trivia today, but I do have trivia. When we eventually run not late on an episode, it will be there.
Her.
I have it. Honestly, if we get to the end of the series and I still haven't done trivia yet, we should just do a bonus episode of just trivia.
I would be down for it. I mean, maybe we should do like a quiz night or something.
Ooh,
yeah,
I did that. That'd be fun.
do a quiz night thing on Zoom before, which was debatedly fun with my friends. So like we could do that. Be a lot, I'm sure.
I do love to do stuff like that. Join our Discord server if we talk about this at all, it'll probably be there. So the link to that's on our Twitter and our Tumblr, which are both City Girls Make Do as the handles. So, and it's also on our Patreon, which is City Girls Make Do. So if you want to donate to us, I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's patreon.com/citygirlsmakedo. But yeah, that's everything. So if you want to find me online, you can find me on Twitter at Age of Oddish, and you can find me on Tumblr at Windfall Island. And I also guested on sister podcast Tuning Fork again for the third time. I'm the host of the show now, it turns out. I was on the show this week, this time to talk about a bad album for once, because my first two guests were Age of Odds and Fetch the Bolt Cutters, which were both very good albums. This time I came on to talk about Weezer, because I have a long history with Weezer.
That sounds so terrifying.
Pitchfork, it does sound terrifying. I have a long history of listening to Weezer that goes back to like middle school, and I've seen him in concert twice. I own a Pinkerton t-shirt. I have a lot to say about it. Anyway, I guested because they gave Make Believe one of their most middling albums of all time, like a 0.4 out of 10 on Pitchfork. So the whole conceit of that show, if you haven't listened to it before, is that it's about like Pitchfork in the 2000s and the albums that they either despised or loved. And so this was a despised one. So if you want me to if you want to listen to me torture my boyfriend by making him listen to Weezer's Make Believe, check it out. It was very fun to record.
Why do you want a Pinkerton t-shirt? You mean that album they made fetishizing Japanese women?
Well, they mention it in lyrics. Yeah, because the thing is, regrettably, Pinkerton is a pretty good album. There are a lot of lyrical choices that are really misogynistic and racist, and I cannot just say that it's a good album without mentioning that. It is Rivers Cuomo that we're talking about here.
I saw a TikTok from Rivers Cuomo that was like, "You think you can bully me? I'm the lead singer of Weezer.
I will kill Rivers Cuomo.
Yeah,
of course I'll bully him.
I mean, I'm excited. I think I will listen to this tomorrow because I want to hear you talk about Beverly Hills, because that song is so much.
Yeah. Pretty much the entire Tuning Fork episode is us dunking on Rivers Cuomo and Weezer as a whole. Because as much as I enjoy, like, the Blue album is genuinely one of my favorite albums of all time, and I, like, do enjoy Pinkerton a lot. But, like, holy fuck. Yeah, there's so much to say about Weezer. So we have a real fun time dunking on incel anthems, and that's what Make Believe is full of. Pinkerton's also full of incel anthems, but like they at least sound better.
Weezer is just the Smiths in that, like, the lead singer is like, oh, I fucking hate this dude, but like these songs kind of slap.
Yeah, we actually talk about that a little bit on the episode.
I'm gonna
about the comparison about Morrissey to
I'm gonna
Rivers
listen to this
Cuomo.
episode, I'm gonna enjoy it. I mean, it's my friends. It's also
a rare opportunity for me and Matt to podcast together, because we've podcasted together like 3, maybe 4 times tops together.
It really doesn't. It will never happen again.
Yeah. Maybe never. Who knows?
I'm just like, please get Matt on. Everyone is like, please get Matt on the show. And you're just like,
he watches like every episode with me.
And usually he's just in the background shouting something at me.
Yeah.
So,
usually he is.
I don't know. We have no excuse. No.
We have no excuse. Yeah. He will be on at some point. I promise. Yeah.
He's usually in the background before we start every episode. He goes, hello, Alex?
Yeah, he does come right up to the mic and say that. Yeah, he often does do that.
Shit. I love it. But,
good.
We don't have any excuse. We're just teasing you. We're edging you, basically. Because once Matt comes on, then no one's going to want to listen. No one's going to want to listen to any more, because, like, we've had Matt on. That's it. The fated Matt. Yeah, exactly.
That's true. He is the podcasting god.
No, I don't. That's a bit too high of praise.
It is too high of praise, but he does own the entire Noise Space website. So he is like, he's like God lowercase g, like the Valar in like Tolkien's work. It's like, you're not God, but like you're you're little a god, like your mini power.
Boss, but like he doesn't give us any rules, you know.
That's true. I mean, that's the ideal kind of god. No rules. Just
vibe.
Go fucking crazy. Actually, there is one rule. There is one rule, which is that we do have to legally disparage Amazon and Jeff Bezos on our podcast now.
Anyway.
I know, we do that all the time, but like we have to, even if we weren't originally going to, because we were going to maybe be on Apple or on Amazon podcasts, and then we collectively, Noise Space, decided no, we don't want to do that. And then after we decided that we didn't want to do that, Amazon was like, by the way, if you host your podcast with us, you're not allowed to disparage Jeff Bezos or Amazon. Well, or Amazon. They didn't say Jeff Bezos' name, but we were like, obviously we're going to fucking talk shit about Amazon constantly. Yeah. We hate them. Die.
I mean, I will say that I feel like we can get away with the most because you are his girlfriend. So, like, what's he gonna do?
This is true. We can just put any episode title out that we want.
We can do whatever we want.
And he'll just look at me. He'll just give me a stare.
He'll be kind of mad, and then you'll be like,
yeah.
I don't know. You own... It's your apartment. Delete it, bitch. Try me, bitch. You'll be like, I'm the owner of the pussy. And the cats.
Yeah? He could say that.
What's he gonna do?
But no, he just gives me a funny look. He's just like, this is questionable content this week. And then he
like,
keeps
that's
scrolling.
Why you hired us. And by hired, I mean, we just asked if we could be on the podcast network. We are not getting paid outside of the Patreon.
No. Matt buys my groceries though, so our groceries. So yeah, I guess he gives me some money.
Shit.
This is true. Matt buys Alex's groceries.
I'm gonna be moving out soon, so I'll need to buy my own groceries, and I'm like not mentally prepared for that. I'm like, I don't know what I fucking eat.
Me neither, and I just got groceries like 2 days ago.
I don't know what I need to eat in a week. I don't understand. I just wake up and like food is magically in the fridge. I don't.
Yeah, once you realize that like not only do you have to get the food, but you have to realize that like the food is not going to last forever, so you're supposed to go through it. Like, to make sure you consume the food that is going to go bad first. It's the worst. It fucking sucks. I hate it.
Like, I want to move out and be by myself, but, like, I don't want to have to, like, make my own breakfast. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I hate it.
Do you want to plug your
your
stuff?
I'm on Tumblr at Dork Phoenix, and I'm on Twitter at Alex the Virgo. I haven't posted much to either of those recently. So on Instagram, I'm at Alex King Chuck. I would say that's where I post the most. See my beautiful face. See funny things I put on my story. That's where I am.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I'm also. If you go back a bit, I'm also on Tuning Fork. One with Steph on Fetch the Bolt Cutters, and then another on. I was not on a good album episode. I was on Lulu.
You gotta be on another good one, so that you got 2 good, 1 bad,
exactly.
Just like me. You gotta be on. I was gonna say you gotta be on for Lemonade, but they didn't give it Best New Music, did they?
I think so. I'm gonna.
Or did no wait? I think they gave it Best New Music, but it was that they didn't give it a 10, which is just cowardice.
Fucking cowardice. I think they did. I think they might have given like Beyonce's live album possibly a 10. Or like or Best New Music at least. So I don't know. I could go on one of them. I feel like I want to go on something older though. So I might scroll back. I'm gonna scroll back into like what they've given a 10 and what they've done Best New Music and kind of see what I want to do. And then I will I don't know, harass. I will harass. I will harass Matt and Dave. Yeah, exactly.
Matt and David? Yeah, good. Yeah, how dare you have a podcast about Pitchfork, the terrible website that we all hate, but that they also like to make fun of a lot too, so I guess it's fine. Anyway, thank you for listening to our another long episode that we've done of this podcast. And Mohey every day.
Mohey every day, gamers. Fuck cops. Blue lives don't matter.
Fuck
so long
cops.
And good night.
So long and good night, and kiss Keanu square on the lips.
Bye.